You can think of this as kind of part two if you watched the introduction video where I transformed the introduction ideas on my plan into actual sentences. I'm going to do the same thing here. And it's really the same process. Now that I've got some ideas down, I have to think of how can I turn that into a sentence? It might just be one word, one bullet point, but I'm just taking and transforming my ideas into full and well-developed sentences. And so what you can see on my plan here, again, I have it written, and this is my PEAEAL. So I've got all of my components necessary. You'll notice that I've got like some quotes there. I've got some bullet points. I'm really just jotting down ideas, trying to work efficiently, save time, and get kind of a skeleton out. And then now it's time to put the meat on the bones. This is where I have to come up with a lot of my own ideas. I have to be a little bit creative. I have to think of word choice, and I have to make sure that I am coming up with important things to say about the evidence that I have chosen. So you can see that for my first P, and you know this from my introduction, I plan to talk about characterization. And so I have the characterization helps readers. I wrote clear, interesting. So I want to bring those two things up. I didn't make that a sentence yet. I have a piece of evidence from the text. I'm talking about Rainsford in my characterization for this paragraph, and this was a direct or an actual quote from the story. And then my analysis, my ideas of what this tells me about him. And so I have some bullet points. Skilled hunter, familiar with guns, alludes to danger or high risk activity, because it says he hears a gunshot and comments that mean or that his ears are expert in such matters. So that clues me in as a reader. That's part of characterization that gives me clues about him. And then I also had another piece of the story, another piece of evidence, and this time it was another directly quoted passage, not the first time in a tight spot. I didn't write it all out. There's more in the text of the story, but just for the sake of my plan, I kept it short. I have physically, mentally tough, familiar with danger and handling fear. So I'm elaborating or I'm analyzing what this passage means to my point. So why did I pick this? Why does it matter? What do I think it says? What do I think it means? How does it relate to my point? And so that's really what your analysis is about, and those are my ideas for it. Then my link, I am simply kind of summarizing and linking back to my overall point and my overall topic, a way to leave my paragraph with closure. And again, a lot of it is creativity. It really is. It is just about you thinking of how can I put these words into sentences? How can I come up with new and fun, interesting ways sometimes to say the same thing I've already said. So it does take some thought. It does take some creativity to be able to write paragraphs like this. But the first thing I'm going to do here is introduce my idea of characterization. I'm going to use a real simple transition word I'm going to start with first. And this is the author's last name. Okay, so I'm really just introducing my idea there. I have said first, Connell uses characterization to develop clear and interesting images of Singer Rainsford, the main character. So I took my idea of characterization, that it makes it clear and interesting, and I've turned it into a sentence. Now I'm going to move on to what the text says, basically. But instead of just writing his ears, expert in such matters, I have to give it a little setup. This was actually something that people had trouble with in that hiking paragraph. A lot of people just threw in something from the story, but you have to give your reader a little idea of where that came from and what that's about. So I'm going to set up the idea that he heard a gunshot, and that was early in the story. So I'm going to say very quickly after meeting Rainsford, it is clear he is a skilled hunter and no stranger to tough situations. Let's see, he heard it as his yacht passes Ship Trap Island. Rainsford hears someone fire a gun. Now that's all just setup. Here's where I actually get to the text. The text states his ears, expert in such matters, could not be mistaken. And there's my actual evidence. So I got my E done. It took a little bit of setup because I didn't just throw it in there. And also notice that my quote wasn't full here, as I already mentioned. Here's where I actually have what it says in the text. Oh, mistaken. That was a mistake. But now I'm on to my A. Now here's where my brain really comes in. I have to think, how does this matter? Why does this matter? How does it connect to characterization? Why did I choose it? And not just that, but it should really be the bulk of my paragraph, my ideas. So I am going to talk about this. What does this tell me? Well, I think this clues readers into the fact that he is skilled in the use of guns. So that's characterization. I know something about him. Along with this comes the possible aspect of danger, or let's see, what did I put up there? At least a high risk activity, at least the fact that he enjoys a high risk activity. So I'm analyzing what I've learned, why it matters, why is this important. Readers are getting an image of, this image of Rainsford as a skilled hunter and outdoorsman. Soon after the gunshots, this is actually going to set up my next piece of evidence. Readers learn Rainsford has fallen off the yacht. So that kind of sets up my next piece of evidence, because right after he falls off, it says it's not the first time he's been in a tight spot, which is my next piece of evidence that I chose. So I'm kind of transitioning into that already. And I'm going to do a little bit more setup because, again, I don't just want to throw it in there. I'm going to put, again, the author gives a description of his character. And I'm going to go back to the text now. A certain cool-headedness had come to him. It was not the first time he had been in a tight place. So that's what the text says. I don't think it likes my word here. Let's see what it says. We're going to ignore that because that's what it says. Oh, maybe it's separated in the text. So that was from the text. It is my direct evidence that I have right here. Again, I didn't have it exactly on my plan. I was just thinking of this. I didn't even look back at the text until I wanted to make sure I quoted it exactly. I just kind of remembered that they said that about him. Now I've got my ideas: physically, mentally tough. He's familiar with danger, handling fear. All these ideas are reasons why I think this is important evidence, reasons why I think I learned something about his character. I am constantly making sure that it matters why I chose this. So what do I have to say about it? I think that I think falling off a yacht at night really tells me a lot about him, because it should be a pretty harrowing experience. Notice that I said harrowing, not scary. I found something really interesting, a great word. However, for Rainsford, he's able to coolly handle situation. Let's see, aside from introducing mental and physical toughness, which I had on my plan, the author, he's also setting him up let's see, skilled at handling dangers and fear. So I have written a couple sentences about what that tells me about him. What did I learn from that characterization? Why does it add to the story? Why does it matter? Why did I choose it? Now I'm on my own. I just need to come up with a way to summarize and leave off this paragraph. And so I've got, let's see, developing clear vision of Ransford. Readers are more intrigued. So I'm going to put that into a good sentence here by developing this clear vision of the main character. Readers will have certain expectations, be more intrigued once the conflict begins to unfold. So you're going to last sentence there and leave my reader with that final thought. And I have all the components I need. One of the things that you will be able to notice is that my analysis really stands out. It makes up the most of the paragraph, and that's what's very important because the evidence is there to support your ideas, not the other way around. Even though the evidence comes first, it's really just there to support your topic and to support your point. Your thoughts and ideas are what are the most important. So thank you for bearing with me while I was trying to type and talk and read and think all at the same time. It's a little difficult, but you can see I transformed just these ideas into a fully developed paragraph. And that is how you create a pearl from a